My name's Adam Melnyk, the Momentum Coach, and I'm helping you to get unstuck. And today we're going to talk about the 5 stages of team development. The framework that I'm going to be teaching you guys was developed in the 1960s by Bruce. I'm going to butcher this man's name. I think it's Witterick. Anyways, unimportant. This framework helps you understand how teams are formed and kind of the life cycles of teams, because we often understand that you and we have a lifespan, but we don't understand that teams also have a lifespan. And this framework that I'm going to be teaching you guys kind of helps you understand where you are in the lifespan and what you need to be doing in leadership to kind of help the team move from A to B. And there are 5 phases. The first one is called forming, then there is storming, norming, then performing, and then ultimately adjourning or disintegration. And you have to do different things within each of these stages. It's kind of funny. I was recently playing volleyball, and on one of the breaks, I was talking with a gentleman, and he just started an individuals team where everybody is new. And he was feeling so frustrated. He goes, I am upset with my team because nothing's happening. We're not winning. Everyone's screwing around. I don't understand what's going on. It's like, right, because you are in the forming stage of team development. And in the forming stage of team development, you're not going to accomplish a lot. Goals and tasks are not going to be accomplished. In fact, you're going to lose a lot if you are playing a sports team, because you are just in the beginning stages of team development. And the question is, well, what is forming? Forming is really when people are getting together on a team, whether this is a corporate team, whether there's a sports team, they're getting together. And there's a lot of excitement. There's a lot of positivity. Everyone's just trying to get to know each other, and they're just excited to move forward. In this stage, if you are in leadership, your job is to accurately explain what is it that you guys are doing. So if this was a volleyball team, I'd sit down with them and I'd say, hey guys, we are here to win. We're going to try to go for gold. We're going to try to get to the, top 3 and or win the season or the league. So we're setting the goals, we're setting the parameters. Then we start explaining the roles. There's going to be setters, there's going to be spikers, there's going to be servers, there's going to be people that have their specific roles. We explain them out and we start assigning the roles. We talk about expectations. We expect people to show up to the games. We expect people to put in their 100% effort. We expect people to be positive and to cheer each other on. And we orientate the team the best we can to where we are now and where we want to go. That's the goal of forming. That's what we do. The frustrating part is if you come onto a team that doesn't have a strong leader, they often won't assign roles. They won't assign goals. They won't say expectations, and they really won't do any orientation of the team. So you just have people coming together, which causes, I should say, a lot of frustration within the team, because at the end of the day, people have to jockey for those roles of leadership. So somebody can be like, okay, these are the expectations. This is what we're going to do. This is how we're going to move forward. Because again, if you don't have a formal leader or you don't have a strong leader, this can be a very frustrating stage. And just as a sidebar, all of these stages, they're going to take you as long as you need to get through to progress to the next stage. So the forming stage could be anywhere from a few hours, or it could take you a month to 2 months. That depends on you, the leader. It depends on your team. It depends on the people that you're working with. It depends on a lot of factors. So when people often ask me, it's like, how long will it take me to get to the performing or the storming or just the forming stage? It's like, I don't know. We'll have to figure that out together. But if you're in leadership, if you understand these stages, you can help guide the team more efficiently through each stage and move them from that point A to point B. The good news is once you've done the forming part, once people have started to get to know each other, that excitement starts to die down, they understand their goals, their expectations, you can then move on to stage 2, which is called the storming stage. And the storming stage, you're in it because you're going to start seeing a lot of conflict. You're going to see conflict either between coworkers or teammates, or you're going to see internal conflicts with individuals. And this conflict comes from, one, people are jockeying for just social standing. So if you're the leader, Somebody else is going to try to be your number two. Somebody's going to try to be the timekeeper. Someone's going to try to be the social butterfly. Like they're going to take on these social roles and expectations, but they have to jockey for positions within the group, which causes that friction. There's also added friction from this understanding of they may not be living up to their own expectations, and it causes that internal turmoil and frustration within themselves. But then they're also getting frustrated with their coworkers and their teammates because they have weaknesses, they have issues. Maybe their work ethic or work style doesn't mash up with their own. And so it's causing this friction within the team dynamic. And all of a sudden you're seeing all of this conflict and just frustration. And I saw this a lot when I was the team captain of my volleyball team. After we moved from the forming stage of everyone's like, oh, we're so happy to play volleyball. Yeah, we're going to go for nationals, da-da-da-da-da. When we started playing, you start seeing people that start getting very frustrated. It's like, why didn't you get that ball? Why didn't you serve properly? Why didn't you do this? And you saw this internal frustration and friction kind of going on as people also tried to jockey for roles and positions on the team and the social standing and expectation. And it's like, shit, what do you do in this role as a leader? Well, the good news is there's a few things that you got to do. The first one is you have to encourage team collaboration. On my volleyball team, I was always talking very positively towards them. Great spike. I know you missed it, but you were there and you tried, and I'm very proud of you for doing this. On a more corporate setting, what I would always do is I would host get-togethers. I'd host team events. I'd host potlucks. Again, we're creating team cohesion because there's conflict within the team. So we need to start bringing people together. We need to start uplifting them. Not only that, we need to step in when conflicts get out of control, when two people are really going after each other, and we need to start coaching people around conflict management because, again, they're upset. They're feeling frustrated. It's like, cool, let's help coach you to smooth things over with this person as opposed to us getting in the middle of this. And now we're creating the rescuer role in the drama triangle, which we never want to do, side note. But we are going to help the person understand, okay, this is how you solve this conflict. This is how you move forward with this person. This is how we have a workable relationship with them. Because ultimately our goal in any leadership position is to encourage independence. Next, we provide constructive feedback. We don't just say to the people, you suck. Because if we're just going to say to our teammates that you suck, guess what? We're just causing more internal friction and issues, which we don't want to do. We also want to refocus on the goals. Keep in mind, these people are getting frustrated with each other. They're losing sight of what the ultimate goal is. Our goal in leadership is to be like, okay, guys, I know we're feeling frustrated today, but let's get through this because we are going to nationals for this volleyball tournament. We need to succeed. So it's refocusing all those goals and helping them understand, okay, let's get from point A to point B. And that last thing is you need to be a listening ear for grievances. People are going to talk to you about all the issues that they have on the team. You just have to listen. We're not solving things. Don't jump into solving things because then we're jumping into the rescuer role of the drama triangle, which we never want to do. Don't do that. Instead, we listen and we coach. Once, though, the storming phase has died down, and we know that the storming phase will have died down because conflicts get reduced. They're not really a problem anymore. Now we get to the normalization phase of team building. You know you've hit the normalization phase because you're going to start seeing friendships grow and blossom. You're going to start seeing inside jokes within the team. You're going to start seeing a general positivity. And that's because people understand what their roles are. They understand what exactly is my expectations and what I'm doing on this team. They respect their skills and the work ethic of others, but they also understand their own skills. They also understand their own limitations. They're very tired of conflict in this stage, and so they're not going to be having that much conflict, and they're going to be forming those friendships with other people. When you hit this stage, congratulations, holy moly. Most teams do not make it this far. Most teams go straight into disintegration. But if you've made it this far, awesome. You're doing really good. Your goal as the leader is to actually take a step back because now the team's normalizing. They're going to start steering themselves. Your job is to jump in if they get stuck or if they need kind of help guiding themselves in a way. So for example, on my volleyball team, when my team started getting to that normalization phase, when they start getting stuck in their own head after a losing streak and they just couldn't get out of it, my job was to step in and be like, okay, guys, let's take a deep breath. Let's reset. Let's get back out there and let's crush it. And I helped them reset. And then they ended up winning the next 3 games. And it's again, stepping in when they feel stuck, but to allow that autonomy, but also to celebrate any positives, any successes that they're having, because we want to keep that forward momentum going. Just like with my volleyball team, when they were losing time and time again, they were getting too negative. My job was to refocus them. And then I have to get them to celebrate those successes to encourage that momentum forward. Once the group has really normalized, then you get into the performing stage. And everybody loves the performing stage. The problem I see with many leaders is they try to rush into the performing stage as fast as possible. And unfortunately, that doesn't work because you end up getting stuck in the second stage, which is storming, which is just conflict. People are just having conflicts with each other and they're starting to have conflicts with you. But the performing stage is truly amazing because the team understands what are their strengths, what are their weaknesses. They respect each other. They are now looking to deepen their skills and understanding on subjects. They are working with each other. There's conflict, but it's not as bad as the storming stage. And they're learning each other's personality so they can kind of start smoothing out these conflict issues. And there's a lot of encouragement and is just, again, really hands-off work. So as leader, when you're in this high-performing role, your job is to stay pretty much completely hands-off, let them guide themselves, and your job is just to kind of dip your toe in, continue team building, rapport building conversations with your team, but not really to direct them, not really to have that heavy-handedness, to dip your toe into conflict management if things get out of control and still do that coaching. But again, it's not going to be nearly as bad as that storming role. And it's just mostly to stay hands off. It's an amazing place to be in. If you do it right, you will stay in the performing role for pretty much indefinitely. The issue being is though that sometimes conflicts can happen. Sometimes team members may get disillusioned and may start working independently again, which pushes you back into that storming and then forming roles. Like these are not stagnant. It's not linear. Don't think of this as a linear thing. It's very dynamic. You can go from a performing back to a forming, back to a storming, up to normalizing, back down to storming. You have to manage these roles as it can be rather dynamic. We'll talk a little bit about at the end about why these things happen. However, the last phase is the adjourning and disintegration phase. This is when the project's done. Everything's done. We're wrapped up. People are maybe leaving the team. Maybe a new project's going to be starting, but it's done. It's completed. This is the end. This is a very normal process. All teams, even the most high-performing ones, will come to this phase. And your job in leadership, whether it was a resounding success or a resounding failure, is to then manage this phase. It's like, okay, what do I do in leadership to manage this phase? Well, first and foremost is to celebrate the successes. Celebrate the people that were on the team. Like if you have people leaving your organization, we celebrate them. We talk about how amazing they are. This is the adjourning phase. We debrief with the team about what happened. We talk about what were the goods, what were the bads. We talk about areas of strengths, areas of weaknesses, things that we learned on. This is just a learning opportunity. This is not a time for criticizing individuals. This is not a time for making people's lives miserable. This is a time for celebrations. Again, when I was coaching my volleyball team, when this phase came up at the end of every single season, I would often take my team out for dinner. I would buy them a cake. I would talk about how amazing each and every single one of them are. I would uplift them. I would say, hey, you guys are spectacular. I would learn from them and just do a general wrap up because many of these individuals I would never see again in my life. It's just how sometimes these things go. But it is a very normal stage. You will encounter the stage multiple multiple times. Now, something to consider is that, again, these stages are dynamic. You can slip from performing back up to forming to storming, back down to forming, depending on what's going on. Unfortunately, most leaders don't understand this and they think it's just strictly linear, and they start doing the wrong things at the wrong time. For example, they're in the storming phase with their team, but they're acting as if they're in the performing phase. So you see these leaders take this hands-off approach that's letting their team do whatever the hell they want, but there's all this conflict within the team. It's like, right, because you're in storming, but you're acting as if you're in performing. And this is causing a lot of problems. I see this happen a lot when there's staff turnover. When a bunch of staff leave and new staff come on, you immediately fall back into the forming stage. You are forming a new team, which means that you're going to go through storming, norming, performing, and then ultimately adjourning. Many of them don't understand this. Many of them don't even do the last stage, which is the adjourning or the disintegration stage correctly, which is, again, you have all these people leaving. Congratulations. You are in the 5th stage. People are leaving. Your team is disintegrating on you. So you need to be doing all these celebrations. You need to be talking about how amazing they are. You need to be talking about their successes, but they're not. And instead of doing performance reviews, instead of celebrating them, instead of having these go away parties, they just kind of say, screw you, sweep you under the rug, and then move on, which is problematic because, one, you get into the grieving process with your team, which is something we'll talk about at another date, and it destroys team morale. And then when you get those new people on, that forming and then storming stage become even harder. So it's important to understand kind of what's going on. I've also seen it in the performing stage when everyone's going full tilt, and then all of a sudden somebody starts feeling neglected. They feel like they're not getting the best end of the stick. And then they start saying, screw it, I'm going to go do my own thing. And then they start working independently. And then other people see that this person is no longer a team player, and they start getting upset with this individual, and they start attacking, they start gossiping. Well, congratulations, you're no longer in performing anymore. You're now back into storming. And now you have to work your way back up there some way, somehow. And so it's important to understand is like, you can slip into any of these 5 stages at any given time. It's important to understand what stage you're in and understand what you need to do depending on those stages. If you need help with your team, or maybe just help moving yourself forward and getting unstuck, feel free to head over to themomentumcoach.ca and book your free consultation where we can sit down and understand exactly where you are in the 5 stages and what you need to start doing to help move your team forward and to help move you forward. And if you like this video, please give it a like, a thumbs up, send it to somebody who could also use this information, and subscribe for new videos every single week. Otherwise, I'll see you guys in the next video. Take care.